Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Go Bros. I am Philip.
And I'm Luke.
And in today's episode, we're going to review, it's probably one of the most favorite apps by all Oculus Go and Gear VR users now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It currently has a store rating almost 5 stars. Like 85% of the reviews are 5 stars. And the app that we're talking about is Wander.
That's right, Wander.
Wander's a pretty killer app. It uses Google Street View to where you can pretty much just wander anywhere in the world. Not only does it use Street View, but it also uses user-submitted photos, which I believe comes from all sorts of different areas, different ways, but you can just use the Google Street app, right, Luke, and just create your own photosphere, and it'll appear in Wander at some point.
That's right, yeah. Google actually has a Streets app as well, so it'll find where you're currently at and allow you to contribute your own 360 photos. So it'll walk through the process where you hold your phone and it'll have a little dot that you point at, and you can take a 360 photo anywhere you are.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And actually, Luke, is that the app you used for when we did our V-Time review?
That is actually the app I used to record that. I was pretty fast in that one. I didn't actually follow all the rules of the app, so it wasn't the best stitched 360 photo, but that is the app I used.
I didn't realize how much effort had to go into that. I mean, I knew it would take some because even panorama photos take a lot of effort. But
Right.
I used the same app. I was at Pittsburgh Zoo the other day and I tried doing a 360, and it stitched it pretty good, although it did take me some time to look all over the place.
Absolutely, yeah, it does.
But hey, let's jump into Wander and take a look at it.
Yeah, let's dive in.
I wonder if the Great Pyramids are really all that great.
I wonder if we can take Grandma to her childhood home.
I wonder how many penguins live in Antarctica.
I wonder what that bookstore on Polk Street used to be.
I wonder.
I wonder.
I wonder where to go next.
Wow! You have to see this. Follow me.
All right, as you can see, we have our headsets on, and Luke and I are probably, for the first time, seeing something completely different. Luke, tell me a little bit about what you see.
I am standing on a cliff, on a bridge. Let's see here. I see a cliff on either side of me. It looks like a precarious bridge. I feel safe, but I don't know where I'm at. But I'm overlooking a river on the edge of a cliff.
And I'm actually indoors. I'm in some sort of cathedral-like thing with lots of art. And real quick, everybody, if you look at my screen, you can see how some of these spheres that they drop you in are pretty high quality. I'm looking right now at, it looks like a baby monitor, really. It doesn't look like a normal security camera, but I'm looking at a security camera, and I mean, you can see pretty good detail. And I mean, I can even spin around. What's great about this app is, I mean, you're surrounded by photospheres for the most part. Well, really, this whole app is photospheres. So everywhere you go in this app, you can just walk, look, just move around, and it's great in a swivel chair. It's great standing up. Right now, I'm looking weird because I'm trying to make sure I'm still in frame, but it's really cool. So you should be able to figure out where we're at by, I thought by just hovering our mouse.
Yeah, mine says I am in Spain somewhere.
I guess I'll go ahead and look at my map. I am also in Spain somewhere.
Mine has no description, so that's why I couldn't find mine. It says
mine
no
doesn't either.
description.
So since I have the map open, they've added some features recently. So this app came out, I think, July 2018. So it's been out for a good 6 months. And a lot of user feedback. They've implemented the feedback. Right now on the map, I can zoom in by just swiping up on my touchpad. I was messing around with this a little bit the other day, and the feedback on the touchpad isn't quite what you would like. There's a slight delay. It's actually a little bit better than whenever I was using it the other day, maybe because I'm closer to my router right now. But you can zoom in and see where you're at.
Yeah,
Everything
and on
in
mine, for example, when I'm looking at the map, I actually zoomed in where I'm at, and I am at the El Caminito del Rey. And you could see where I'm actually at right now, and as I move, the guy moves as well. But mine actually has little blue dots over the map that you can click on to put yourself in that place. So anywhere where there's a blue line, you can move along that as you would like in Google Streets. And anything that's a blue circle is a place where you can that's like one photosphere that's separated from the rest of the street.
Right. And one cool thing about this map too, if you want to have a better idea of like what's around you, is you can click satellite view in the lower left. You just pull with your trigger and you get a better view of the type of terrain and everything that's around you. Now, that's probably going to slow down your ability to zoom in and out the map. But for me, really not too bad right now, which I'm actually pretty happy because I was testing this over the weekend because I knew we were probably going to do a review on it soon, and I was actually not having a great experience, but it's running a lot better today, so that's good.
Yeah, mine's actually been pretty good as well.
Yeah, so it says type here to search at the top of the map, which we can click on there. And in the past, this wasn't a great experience.
No,
I'm just
not
gonna
at
go ahead
all.
and I'm gonna go ahead and type. I'm gonna type Barcelona, which isn't far from where I'm at now. And as you can see, it brings up about what you'd expect. Recommendations of based on what you started typing. So I go Barcelona to Spain. I can go to the airport. Just for fun, I'll go to the airport, see what that looks like.
And while you're doing that, I'm headed to the Gateway Arch in St. Louis.
All right, now one thing I would kind of like would be if after searching, maybe if the map would go away. I feel like getting rid of the map and the keyboard is a bit difficult. And in
Well,
fact,
have you tried just tapping the back arrow on your remote?
ooh, that's nice. So thank you for that tip. And it brings the map kind of down below you, where if you really want to role play a bit, you can put your other hand out and pretend you're holding that map up as if you're actually touring around. Oh, coincidentally, I'm at the airport, and there's actual real maps right here to my left of the terminal, so that's kind of funny. One other thing that I know many Go users, you may not realize this, but there's supposed to be a lot of voice features. It's kind of like saying, hey Siri, but you can say, what is it? Hey Oculus?
Right.
And when you're on like the home screen, you can search on the home screen using your voice. Well, there's a voice search here as well. I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on voice search, Eiffel Tower. Press again to finish. It heard me. And, ooh, wow, cool. I'm now on top. But again, it brought the map right in front of me, which I kind of get why it does that, but I don't really care to see that. But I'm going to use Luke's tip and press back. Otherwise, you can just click the map icon and it'll go away. But back makes everything disappear. It brings the map below you, and you can pull your trigger and still kind of move the map around in front of you. But
And
there's no
the
way
view that I
think
like to use is without, like you said, I hit the back button and I get rid of all the UI, so I'm just in the photosphere. And then just like with Google Streets, you can click anywhere where your circle turns blue as a place that you can transport to, and you can move forward and backward in the space. I can't go up underneath the arch, but I'm walking down the street and apparently walking through cars, and here's a little carriage here. And the map loads as I move forward. And that works, again, if you're on a road and there's an intersection, you can turn left and right just like you would want to. But you can navigate the street view just like that. Point where you want to go, click it, and it transports you there.
Now, one thing, you can't completely get rid of the UI from what I can tell. You can press the back button and get the map, or press the back button and get the buttons.
Oh, for me, when I push the back button, I'm looking all around. I don't see any UI anywhere. I am 100%.
Look down. You don't have a mini map below you?
I do not have a mini map below me. I am 100% in the photosphere. The only UI I have are these watermarks that say 2018 Google.
So, folks, if you don't want that mini map like I had and you prefer what Luke had, go to settings and turn off the mini map.
That settings. That's, good stuff there. sometimes some of these app developers will actually put settings in the settings option. Again,
Yeah.
Fox Sports VR, I'm looking at you. The settings gear is for settings.
Now, one thing, and this is an Oculus Go show we do, but I would love to see if, of course, it probably won't, because I imagine this is, well, no, on the. Does anybody know? Luke, do you know? Is this available on the Rift or the Vive? I imagine it would be. I don't see why not.
I can't answer that definitively because I don't own any of those, but I would imagine that it would be.
Because it would be cool if, with 6 degrees of freedom, if you could, walk around a little bit. But then
Mhm.
it might not, because this is using a lot of the built-in of what Google Street already uses. Because
Right.
it is
Now,
like,
one of the advantages of the Google Streets is, I don't know if you can see on my screen here, there's a timeline. And so in this particular area, it looks like Google's been doing this quite a bit with some sense of regularity, but I can actually come back in this exact same position and go all the way back to 2007, which is actually a very interesting thing to do. I know you and I, Phil, we actually went back and looked at our old high school to see how much that town had changed.
Yep.
But this is actually pretty interesting. Over 12 years ago, and where I'm standing, there's this whole area that it doesn't exist anymore. So it's an interesting way to kind of put yourself back in time. It's not the DeLorean, right? You can only go back as far as Google started doing this, and not every area has every year. But it is an interesting thing to kind of compare and say, what did this look like, 12 years ago? Which, interestingly enough, 12 years ago, there was also a horse-drawn carriage in this exact spot, as there was in 2018. Now,
That's
is
funny.
weird. Can I just say that is weird? Right there it is again in 2018. That's weird.
let's talk a little bit about the interface. So there's the map, obviously, that brings up the map. Roads, that's all Street View. But the dots, as Luke mentioned earlier, those are photospheres that Google may have uploaded or a user may have uploaded.
Right.
So they'll vary in quality. Favorites, I'm not going to click on, but if there's places you like to visit, what I've done is I've added like places I've lived, places I've been in the past. So, when my wife put on her Go and got Wander, we actually I gave her a tour of all the places I used to live, which is cool. We didn't have to go drive all across the country. We could just put this on, and I could show her some old houses we lived at, old high school and stuff.
Yeah,
Then there's
to mention that where you said you could put your own things up there. I actually jumped on one. Someone in the middle of the Mississippi River, there was a blue dot. It's like, well, I got to click on that. So again, your mileage may vary. Not everybody's quality is the same as Google's. This was done very poorly, but it is an interesting view. You can kind of go under the bridge. But this was obviously stitched as a 360 photo while this boat was moving quickly. But it is interesting to see other people's photos as they upload them.
Yeah, and speaking of photos, there's the next button is collections. Now collections, I think I'll have to click to be reminded, but I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna look at Day of the Dead Mexico.
I'll click on famous haunted houses.
And I'm not sure if these are all geotagged or if they're just gonna be photospheres, but I'm just gonna click in one and find out.
Interesting. You get a little. I clicked on one of the haunted house ones. I'm at the Sally house, and it actually gives me a screen, some text that kind of tells me about where I'm at.
Oh yeah, I remember. I did remember doing the tour and doing that. So the collections, I don't know really a whole lot about the collections or where they come from, but they're definitely worth checking out whenever you check out the app. Again, there's the timeline Luke mentioned before. The place I'm at, it's just got 2016 and 2017. But boy, there's a whole lot more stuff in this square in 2016. But this probably wasn't necessarily exactly done on Day of the Dead. If you also notice, everybody's faces are blurred out. That's also a feature that's built into the Google Street app. If you capture your own photosphere, make sure you go and find all the faces, and you just click on a face, and it'll blur the faces for you. So it's another thing to be on the lookout for if this is something you think that you're going to want to contribute to. Nearby is also another great option. Like if you, I'm going to go to Disney World.
I'm going to go to Black Lake, Montenegro.
Where did it just take me? I am not in Disney World. It heard that I said Disney World, and it brought me to Campo Horcan. I'm going to click on nearby because I wanted to talk about what was nearby. If I was in Disney World, nearby you would see nearby attractions and stuff. So if you really want to take a tour of an area, you can see all the features and stuff that are tagged on the map. Or you can just go to the map and find those same places and go there. I do not know why it dropped me here when I said Disney World. Let me go jump over here in this park.
Disneyland.
Whoa. Somebody took an aerial 360 view. This is something that I've been thinking about. I've been watching Tucker Gott on YouTube a lot, which Luke and I kind of both fell into separately. I always thought it'd be fun. It's like, hey, I wonder if he could take, and geotag 360 photos in the air. But I really don't feel like that's what this experience is about, being in the air. But who knows where this came from? If someone's in a hot air balloon or on a crane. On the higher res
interesting
photos,
to be able to go through these nearby attractions, so to see what has been put up there.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that Google was going through Disneyland and taking pictures of that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and one thing you'll see is on the higher res photos, they take a lot longer to load. So if you see a real grainy photo, just wait, because sometimes it's not that grainy. And usually what it'll do is if you stay in one place, it'll start loading that area first. And it'll load like what's behind you last, which you can kind of see. I'm now turning behind me. It's all blurry. If I come back to the front, it's nice and crisp. But whoever took this photo, let's find out. Gustavo Salazar. Very well done. We did voice search back. Random. We're not even going to click on that, but oh, sure, I will.
Yeah,
I'll just take you to a random place.
while you were talking, I actually went to some random places as well. It is pretty interesting just to see. It is exactly what you'd expect, random. But it's kind of a cool thing to see again how fast it loads and where it takes you, and interesting.
Yeah. All right. So now, what really drew Wander's popularity and the reason why we're reviewing it on our show is the multiplayer feature, because we always try to focus on apps that have a social aspect, because as we've said before, social is where we think is what's really going to make portable VR, specifically the Go, grow. So let's show what it looks like to create a room. So you just click on multiplayer. Somebody's here. There's Hooded Friend 267. They're wandering around the United States. I'm going to go ahead and create a room, unless, Luke, did you already start one?
Nope, I'll wait for you.
All right, so I'm going to create a room. And they now have this feature to where you can only have your friends only. Although when this first came out, I think they had that feature, but we found sometimes, Luke, that we couldn't find each other, right? We had to turn that off.
That, and I think
sure
we had made the mistake of starting with a party in Oculus rooms and then trying to come here, and it didn't like that. We haven't tried that again since, but since this has its own party feature, it's best to meet here instead of starting in Oculus rooms and coming here later.
And folks, say in comments if you agree. I feel like a lot of apps when they first come out seem to have party issues if they have their own kind of party aspect to it. I'm trying to think of another app we tried that was similar, that whenever we party, YouTube VR. It didn't like it when you partied up first either.
Yeah.
So if you have a new app that you're trying out and you have an issue with the party, try to find each other without the party, and sometimes it works better. I'll start my room. Apparently I am in Trashigang, Simtoka. Oh, I'm on Trashigang, Simtoka Highway.
Do you have an invite option?
I do. I will try to invite you. Invite user. Invitation sent.
There it is.
I'll start walking up this road while I wait for you.
I am here.
All right, I see you loading. So, as you can see, I'm looking down at Luke. So that's one thing I would kind of like more, but you can kind of see why they don't have it, is I would like him to be up here with me, to feel like we're in the street together.
And one
But
thing you
kind
can
of
do to get that feel again is you hit that back arrow and get your UI out of the way. I'll pop up a little bit more eye to eye, not quite, but a little bit.
Yeah. One thing though is I guess it doesn't matter. I'm looking at the back of Luke's head.
So, and I'm looking at the back of your head. So somehow we're both standing behind each other.
So if I turn around and look behind me, am I looking at you?
You are looking at me. So do I need to do the same thing? But now I can't see you.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows if we left and recentered. But one thing you can see is technically Luke's not with me. I don't think. No, because you can see what Luke's looking at above his head. And if I want to go where he's at, I can just put my laser there, pull the trigger, and now I'm where Luke is. Now, the only benefit of that is we can talk about what we're looking at.
Right.
I can also click on follow. And so now anywhere Luke goes, I go with him, even if he just walks up the street.
And I get a little notification that he's doing that as well.
That way, if someone's following you, you don't go home.
Right.
Now, there's also a laser pointer feature now. Of course, it's been out for a while. Unless they removed it. Maybe only you can do it, Luke, because I'm following you. I want to see you click your touchpad.
I'm not seeing my laser.
I'm pointing in the sky and I see it.
Oh, I see yours. Yeah, I see what you're looking at. Do you see where I'm looking at? My laser?
No, I don't know how I even enabled mine. I just all of a sudden, maybe it's when I pushed my touchpad. Oh, no, that's my record dot. So you see my, looks like a sun, almost like red sun in the sky?
Yeah, I sure do.
So this is useful. I wonder why, maybe try touching your touchpad, Luke. I think that's how I pulled mine up. Now mine's gone.
Every time I touch my touchpad, I transport us somewhere.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Huh. So maybe that's a feature they're still working out.
If there is a way to enable that, we haven't been able to see it. Now maybe you can point. Well, like, whatever you did is gone. I don't see yours anymore. I was seeing...
it just disappeared on its own when you moved.
Interesting. Well, I'll see if I can get us up the street a ways to see if you can find...
Who knows? Maybe we have to wait for the sphere to finish loading. Let's wait a little bit. One other thing we didn't talk about is if you don't feel like walking around in circles and spinning around, like you're seeing me do now, you can swipe your trackpad, and it'll change you turning. I guess that's one way we could look at each other.
Here we go. I just did that. Now I can see you.
So that's pretty much it.
Yep, that's the basics of Wander. I mean, there is an option. I thought it was interesting they added an exit option in the UI. But of course, you can get that just as easily by hitting your remote. So let's go ahead and exit and go back to the studio and talk about what we saw.
Sounds great. All right, we're back in the studio. So, Luke, thoughts about Wander?
I think it's great. Google Streets has been a helpful tool for a long time. And it's been interesting to see what they've been able to accomplish with that. And it's been great to be able to see how it's evolved. Even from just like the computer view, I remember when it first came out, just kind of be able to see where you're going, to when they first put it on mobile devices where you could kind of give yourself that view by holding your phone in front of your face, and it would use your phone's compass orientation to know which way you were looking. That was kind of cool, but I feel like VR was what it was built for, to be able to have that photosphere and put your VR headset on and move about that space. I think that's exactly what it was built for, and we're starting to reap the rewards of all the effort that Google's been putting into that.
And let's think about some of the practical aspects of this. The same reason people would use Street View, I've read reviews, I've heard people comment on this, that people who, they're moving cities, okay, and they're going to be walking to work, they can put on the VR headset, and it's a whole lot more immersive than just looking at your phone, looking at Street View. You can put it on, and you can feel like you're out in front of your building. And you can click the button, and you're walking down the street, and you can take that time. And really, if you think about it, each one of those clicks, it's almost walking speed. So you can kind of get an idea even about, what it's going to feel like while you're transitioning down the street and figure out
I thought it
was here.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. When we first looked at this, one of the things I did was I thought, hey, I wonder if I could add my own and how fast it would upload. It actually uploads very quickly. I got the Google Streets app. My wife and family were staying at a campground, so I wanted to show my brother where we were at. So I went outside the RV and created a photosphere of where we were and let him see the campground. It turns out I wasn't the only one that did that. As soon as I uploaded it, I realized other campers had done the same thing at various places around this park. We're right on the Colorado River and was able to go out there and see all the other photospheres that people had taken and got a chance to show you those photospheres as well, which is kind of cool.
So let's think about some other the social aspect of this. It's kind of like V-Time. I mean, that's what the social aspect really is.
Right. Yeah, I would agree.
Because you can jump in with strangers, which really it's not that popular. Because there's so many other fun apps. There's games. People are
Right.
spending more time in social apps that are games, or they're not even being social. You know, a lot of people on the go, they're just using it for media, and there's just
Right.
not a lot of ways to be social. Doing that, people don't want to be social sometimes.
Right. I feel like this is almost more of a utility. It's cool. It's got the cool factor, and to be able to go with friends and family and kind of look at things, it's got the cool factor. But I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a social aspect of a place to go and socialize. More of a utility of let us go see this thing together.
Yeah, you could almost turn it into a game the way that it is. I'd
Right.
heard of a website ages ago where you could get dropped down in Google Earth somewhere, and you need to go. The goal is to get home, basically to find a bus stop, to find an airport,
That's
which basically
interesting.
means that you can get back home.
Yeah.
That would be. You could do that in Wander too. I mean, you can drop yourself and try to figure out without using the map, figure out a way to get home.
It almost makes me wonder if people could do something like geocaching in an app like this as well.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool. Now, speaking of, I went ahead and before we got on here, I got on to the developer's website, and they are coming out with an app called Lost, which I'm betting is just going to be Wander, except it drops you somewhere, and there might be, maybe it is more task-oriented to figure out, like there might be some way to actually say where you're trying to get to, and maybe you can click on airports or click on buses, and actually it'll take you a route. Who knows? But I
That'd
think
be
there's
really
a lot
cool.
of there could be a lot of fun things here.
I agree.
I think it would also be cool to see the Oculus avatars on the map where they're at. I don't know what that would take networking wise, but even at least just your friends. I mean, if you're in a
Yeah.
friends group, you should.
You're
It'd
talking
be
about
cool to
that
have a
mini map
setting.
view when it opens up to see when you see all the blue dots where you can
Yeah.
go. You want to see avatars. That makes sense.
Oh, I mean, even strangers, that would be kind of cool. I mean, if you think about V-Time, you see all the different rooms people are in. It would be cool to see all the dots of people who were there right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And even if you don't have a room created, maybe you see somebody and you can click on them and you can request, hey, let's join together. And you can turn those requests off to where you don't get them. But where I was going with that is I think it would be really cool if you could kind of play hide and seek too, you know?
Yeah.
Until you would click around and it would kind of give you an idea of where someone's avatar is. Now, it might be a little bit difficult. There might be some math they just couldn't do because every step you take is really like another 360-degree photo.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
To figure that out would be kind of tough to zoom someone out and be a lot of tracking, but who knows? Maybe it's something that could be done. Who knows? Maybe they're doing it. Maybe that's what the Lost app is going to be.
We'll have to wait and find out. But
I'm
now that
sure
you've had a
it'll-
chance to play with Wander for a little while, we have to ask the question: is this something that you're going to keep or delete?
That's kind of a complicated question because we've seen the reviews. It's great. We enjoy it. We've had a lot of
Right.
fun with it. How big did you say this app was when you had to re-download it?
135.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Luke had to re-download this. It's definitely an app worth buying and worth re-downloading to show others for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'm not going to delete it. I haven't deleted it. I have a 64 gigabyte Go. I don't know of many people who've run out of space with 64 gigabytes. I don't think I would ever delete Wander. I haven't deleted it. I don't think I would delete it. So to answer the question, definitely keep for me. If I had 32 gig, I still don't think I'm even close to reaching that amount on my Go, except for when we capture video footage.
Right.
I don't know. If I had 32 gig, maybe I would delete it. What do you say, Luke?
I do have 32, and it is an app that I have deleted numerous times, but not because I don't like it. It's just been a space issue. For me, it's within that threshold that it's easy enough to download again, and I was able to very quickly. It wasn't a problem. So yes, this is a keep app. Don't regret the purchase. I will go in there multiple times.
$5. There are apps that are not near as cool as this that cost twice as that.
Totally agree. It's worth it.
All right. So, Luke, any outgoing thoughts about Wander?
I got nothing, but if you see us wandering around, feel free to join us.
Absolutely. We'll have to schedule some times on future app reviews to where we can actually hang out with y'all. I know we don't have a whole lot of viewers, but it could be fun to hang out with some of you and hear some thoughts about the show in person. But in the meantime, thumbs up, thumbs down, leave a comment. We read those. We really appreciate your feedback.
Yes, we do. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you know when we upload a new video.
That's right. Well, again, I'm Philip.
And I'm Luke.
And thanks for joining us on GoPros. You have a great day.